Okay, good morning and happy Friday. Hope you've all had a great week. My name is David Heacock. I'm the founder and CEO of FilterBuy. I'm on a mission to build the world's leading indoor air quality company through FilterBuy. It's certainly been a busy week in filter land. It's our busiest week of the year, generally. It's Amazon Prime Week, which happens to coincide with the middle of the summer, which is generally our peak time of year. And so those two things colliding oftentimes leads to a record sales week. And that seems to be the case for us. We're on track for our fourth seven-figure day in a row, which is a record for us. We've had seven-figure days before, but four in a row is a first. It's pretty exciting. I've been really proud of how our team has handled the volume. We've been shipping about 25,000 or so orders every single day, and on average, customers are getting that roughly 24 hours after they purchase. And I think that is a fairly impressive feat, and it makes me really proud to see how our team has been handling it better than ever. And it's something that we continue to work on and improve on. And I'm really excited about the future with that. But if you're new to this channel, my mission with this channel is to is basically to enable other people to follow their own similar journey and their own similar path, and to share some of the lessons and tips and tricks that I have learned along the way. I've been fortunate enough to build a number of businesses, both now fairly large and small, and I've seen the different stages of what it takes to go from 0 to a million to 10 million, 10 million to 50, 50 to 100, so on and so forth. And I'm really passionate about entrepreneurship. To me, entrepreneurship is a great mechanism to take accountability and ownership of your own life and your own trajectory. And entrepreneurship is a great way of doing that. It's not the only way. There are lots of other ways to take accountability in your life. And I think that no matter who you are, that's extremely important and what your primary focus needs to be. But for me, entrepreneurship is the medium that I choose to manifest that and to do it. And it's something that I'm incredibly passionate about. And I see opportunities everywhere that I look. And I, with this channel, hope to train other people to see those opportunities and to take advantage of them. I started out early in my career on Wall Street, and I actually did a video last week about some of the lessons I learned while working at Goldman Sachs, the big investment bank. And then, this week we just published a video kind of taking a bit of a step back and saying, okay, what are some one-person businesses that you could start today, this weekend, if you really wanted to. We outlined, I believe, 6 of them or a number of them. Doesn't mean that there's any magic in any one of those businesses, but the videos are designed to give you ideas and to show you a framework for how to think about it if you just want to get started. I think that we don't want to make any mistakes in believing these are not ideas that are going to be your next 100 million or $1 billion idea. That's not what they're designed to be. They're designed to get you started, to help you start building that entrepreneurial muscle that can ultimately put you on the trajectory of building the life that leads you to those bigger ideas, if that is your goal, or to help to be the lever that allows you to achieve whatever your dream or goal is on your particular journey. It's how I started. And I started out as a young kid, as an entrepreneur, trying lots of different ideas, doing things that are very similar to these one-person ideas that I talk about in the video. And the key is you got to start. You got to get out there and start experimenting. And it's very easy to go out and comment on a video and say, oh, that's saturated, or that's not going to work, or that business is dead. Those are all easy things to say. You could say that about almost any business if you wanted that to be the way that you look at the world. But if you chose to look at the world as full of opportunities and ways to improve and to enhance and to build, then I think you're going to start seeing a different set of opportunities that lead you to building skills that ultimately allow you to compound those into whatever dream that you could possibly imagine. And that's really the mindset shift that I want to get across in those videos, really as thought exercises. If you're sitting there stuck and not sure what to do, this is like when you watch the videos, I want you to be thinking, okay, well, how can I apply this and actually take action against this in some aspect of my life? And that's what I really want you to be thinking about in the kind of this kind of genre of videos that we're putting out. And as time goes on, my hope is that we're going to be able to use the content to actually get a bit more into the weeds. Like maybe you've started and you've done that one person business. Like how do you actually start to scale that? How do you start thinking about evolving that business into something that is more sustainable or more scalable? There are lots of tactics that we can use, but you got to get started. And this kind of early content is the permission for you to go out and get started. And, it may feel small or feel basic or feel boring to some of you, or not sophisticated enough to some of you. But it is the first step that every entrepreneur has to take if they want to start this journey. I mean, you've got to go out and get your first customer. You've got to go out and hire your first employee. You've got to get started. And that is the step that most people forget about. Like they want to skip to the multi-million-dollar business and have this wonderful lifestyle, but they forget that the way to get there is there's step-by-step building on top of skills and frameworks that you hone over a period of time. And that is where you've got to get started. And that is what a lot of the content that we're putting out now is designed to get you to do. It's designed to get you to start. So that is what I am thinking about this morning. But with this weekly live video, it gives me the chance to answer some of your questions. Maybe you have specific business questions to where you are in your journey. And I do my best to give you the advice that I would give you, given the experience that I've had. Take it for what it's worth, but it's designed to hopefully be helpful for you on your journey. And it also gives me and my team the kind of feedback to know that, okay, well, what topics are people struggling with, or what topics are people interested in? What do you want to hear more about? And it allows us to kind of ideate on future content ideas that maybe can be broader and more people will find useful and helpful. And that is why I commit to doing this weekly 1 hour Q&A live, answering all your questions on entrepreneurship. And I believe the team had a title today of this business advice is worth more than an MBA. And so I have a lot of, we're talking big. So I've got to really make sure that I match that title that you clicked on. But in all seriousness, one thing that, I do think you need to understand is that nothing trumps experience and going out and iterating and figuring out yourself what works for you and what doesn't. That trial and error, that iterative process is the key if you want to ultimately be successful, in my opinion. And that means that you have to get started and you have to be willing to be vulnerable, put yourself out there and fail sometimes. Know that that's going to happen and be okay with it. But you've got to get out there and get started. You've got to actually take action. And that's why one of my core principles is a bias to action. A bias to action is just so important if you want to be successful at anything in life, because it's so easy to be negative. It's so easy to tell you all the reasons why something's not going to work. I hear it all the time, and it drives me crazy when people always want to tell you, oh, this never going to work because X, Y, or Z. Well, have you tried it? Almost always the answer is no, they never tried it. They just know it's not going to work. Well, I cannot tell you how many times I've tried things that I ultimately am able to get to work for me that don't work for other people, but it's because I had a slightly different insight or I had a slightly different approach that I honed and I figured out myself. And that's the secret to success. You've got to go out and do that for you, because what works for me is most likely not going to work for you, and vice versa. And that's okay. But it all starts with going out, having a bias to action, and getting started. So with that, let's get started, and we'll start taking some questions. Brad Montgomery, where would you start with only a couple $100 or a couple $100 limited resources in tomorrow's market? I wanted to try to start my business and entrepreneurial journey, but I've only been able to make a living. I couldn't save up the 3 years of income like Dave Ramsey suggested. Well, I feel for you, because I understand that you have we all have to eat. We have to support families in some cases, so we have to make sure that we have income coming in to be able to pay the bills before we can go out and take a lot of risk. And I don't know exactly how Dave Ramsey, what his particular advice is, but generally, I say you have to be willing to go out and you have to have 2 years of runway to be able to really start a business at scale. But the difference is there are lots of skills and small side hustle type businesses that you can do effectively for no money, and do them while working a job, or to supplement, or as a full-time job in some cases. And that is really where I would start. And funny enough, we published a video this morning answering this exact question. So the first step would be to go watch the video we published this morning, which is on one-person businesses you can start for under $300, or I don't remember the exact number, but it would certainly fit the category that you're asking about. And so in that video, I give a lot of examples of places that I would start if I had this problem. And generally my best advice is if you have a day job, keep that day job. It's going to be painful, but start one of those businesses that I talk about in this video on your nights and weekends, and use that to start saving up the money while also building the skills to go out and actually take your shot starting a business. It's not fun, but that is the answer, in my opinion. Is you're going to have to do both. You're going to have to be willing to get that job to pay your bills and put food on the table, and then on your nights and weekends and on your breaks, start building one of these one-person businesses that you can do on your own that I outlined in the video. There are lots more of them than I outlined in the video, by the way. I mean, there are unlimited kind of side hustle ideas that can ultimately turn into businesses that you can go out and find. But I did outline, a number of examples that I have seen recently that I think would be worthy of pursuing. But I think having that mindset of working your job while building up one of these businesses, saving that money to ultimately go out and take a bigger swing, maybe hiring your first employee if you want to scale that business that you started, or taking risks to actually start something that's a little more capital intensive. That's really the only way I know how. It's not going to solve your problems tomorrow, and it's going to take a lot of work, but that is really the only sure path to success that I know of. I mean, and this is the path that I followed. I mean, I had a job making 7 figures a year at Goldman Sachs in my 20s, and I was still working side hustles, building my skills that ultimately led me to building the business that I have today. That is exactly the playbook that I did, that I followed. I was working 60 plus hours a week in a day job, while also on my weekends and nights, doing affiliate marketing to, learn how to do internet marketing and to build side income that ultimately gave me the insight to start what is now Filter By today. I mean, that is the exact playbook that I followed, and that's the exact playbook I would recommend you follow. It's you gotta get a job to pay your bills, because we all gotta eat. We have responsibilities, things we gotta take care of. But if you really want it, you're gonna go out and start a side hustle, another business, that is not capital intensive. It's going to take a lot of time and energy up front from you. But then use the money that you make from that and the skills and the just market knowledge that you learn from that to, go out and and ultimately build something bigger. And so whether maybe that's going to garage sales and then flipping it on eBay on the weekends, that works, or going to thrift stores and flipping it on eBay, that works. And there are, a number of businesses that I outlined in the video. I don't want to steal my own thunder. But this is exactly what we're attacking with our content that went out today. And it's not easy. This isn't the, I wish I had a course I could sell you for $500 a month and, answer all your problems, and, you're just never going to have to work again. It would be, easy for me to sell that probably, but I don't, that's a fairy tale when anybody's selling that to you. So the best bet for you is to, put on your big boy pants and go out and get a job and start a side hustle, one of these one-person businesses that we talk about. Use the capital from that and the learning from that to go out and build something bigger. But you got to get started. It goes back to what I talked about before. It's like, that's the answer. And you probably already know that's the answer, but you got to go out and do it. I can't do it for you, unfortunately. If I could, I could probably charge a lot of money for it. But you're going to have to go out and do that work yourself. But that's the answer, and always will be the answer. So I'll leave it there. But I wish you the best of luck, and my content hopefully is here to support you on that and to kind of help guide you and kind of give you ideas for when you get stuck. And that's kind of what we're geared to do. But you got to go ahead and put in the work. Zorbic. David, I have an e-commerce supply company, mostly electronic components and accessories, capacitors, batteries, chargers. I'm at a crossroads between hiring/delegating or automating. Which avenue would you recommend, or would you recommend a totally different avenue? Anything that can be automated, you should not hire for. So, I think that you probably are asking the wrong question and not knowing it, in my opinion. If you really knew how to automate something, you're never going to hire for it. Like, you'd be crazy to hire somebody that you can just purely, if you can purely automate. But my guess is that you're missing the skill set of like how to automate. And so what I suspect you're going to want here is to hire either through a consultant or an employee, if you can find one, depending on your needs, to help them to automate. Like, you want to build a system. Your job as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, is to build a system that is going to have repeatable processes that are going to get you consistent results. And anytime you can use automation instead of people in a system, it is going to be more robust. And that's part of the secret sauce at FilterBuy and building the businesses. Like, we have a lot of people that have to do lots of important functions, but we have automated every single part of our system that can be automated. We've systematized it. We've built in KPIs. We've built in feedback loops, all of this kind of stuff, which is critical. And if you have the skill set, I think you as an entrepreneur are going to be way better off if you are the chief architect of that system and those automations, because that is what's going to give you the most control of your business. And I view myself as the chief architect, chief system builder of everything FilterBuy. And that's both automated systems and, human capital or people systems, right? To me, that's what an entrepreneur actually is. It's your job to go out and figure out what is the path of least resistance to building a robust framework or system that's going to get you that repeatable result. And in the world of AI, you need to be thinking what can be automated, and maybe you still need you need to hire a person to be in charge of that automation or in charge of building that system. But you as an entrepreneur are the architect of it. And so, I would automate everything you can that you know how to do first and foremost. But then once it gets, too much for you to control or manage, then you need to bring in a person that has the skills to help you to continue to grow and automate that. And I'll tell you, fundamentally, when we're thinking about hiring a FilterBuy, anything higher level, this is the skill set that we are interviewing for and filtering for today. People that understand how to automate, how to build systems, how to work with systems to get more leverage out of whatever their job function is. And this is the key skill set that I think matters in 2025 and beyond. And so like if you're going to go out and hire, you want to hire somebody that can help you to do this automation in the system building. And for us, and you're in e-commerce, and what you're doing, I think this is relevant, which is why I'll mention it. We are really focusing on data engineers, for lack of a better term, are people that really understand how to work with data and how to automate things around that data. Because that is where we found some of the biggest leverage points within our business. Because like operationally or within marketing, really any piece of the business that, if you're in e-commerce, that you touch, having good, clean data and being able to analyze it well, like understand it so that you can then use tools like AI to analyze it well, is probably the highest level skill in a company like this today, in my opinion, because there's so much value in that data. And the problem is that most people don't know how to clean it, don't know how to use it, and then don't know how to ask the right questions. It's like AI is great, but it's not going to give you all the nuanced answers to the questions that you have in your business. And like if the data is not clean, or you don't really understand how that data was maintained, or like what it originated from, or like what the flaws in it are, all of these things, like the AI is not going to help you. But if you have the ability to understand all of those things and then use AI and your domain knowledge, then you're going to be able to unlock a ton of value. And that's really where I'm focused at the moment. And I think based off of what you're asking, I think that's kind of that's kind of the area where I would focus, is like, you want to do as much of this as you can yourself, and you need to be the chief architect and understand it. But if it kind of gets past the point of view to manage everything yourself, you need to hire other people that have that mindset and that framework. You don't want to hire cogs in the wheel for this type of job. You want to hire other people that really understand systems, understand data and how everything works together, and then using the automation tools and the AI tools to really get the most leverage from that. And so that's how I would be thinking about this problem. So hopefully you find that helpful. I actually think I actually like that business, by the way, because I think that that it's one of those long tail businesses that there's lots of esoteric parts and part numbers, and like if you have the ability to both source them and then present them in ways that people like understand what they're buying and know how to use them and install them and all this kind of stuff, that there's lots of value in those types of businesses. And so I think it's actually at a high level a pretty interesting business to be in. So I wish you the best of luck. Today I should start a process map and tick off what can't be automated. How did you begin and scale filter bias process automation? No, it's just I think you're overthinking it. You just got to dig in and do it. I mean, ultimately, like my guess is that there's like some massive pain point that you have that's causing you to ask this question. And you're looking for a magic answer to it. And the answer is really to break down that one process and to fix it. And you're not going to be able to fix every process in your business on day one. I mean, it's just not realistic. But you got to like, there's one process that's probably annoying you that you need to spend a week and commit to mapping out, like, okay, like how are we doing this now? And what would make this easy? Like what would easy look like? Like that's the question you always want to ask yourself. I work with a performance coach, Dr. Julie Gerner, and that's one thing she always loves to say, and I love that thought process. It's like, okay, you're describing this kind of complex, hard problem. What would it look like? How would it feel if it was easy? Like, what would that look like? What would easy look like? And then that's your target. That's what you got to go out and figure out how to do. And I know that sounds kind of lame, but it really is that simple. It's like you have this complex problem, and like you gotta just think to yourself, okay, well, like how would this look if it was easy? Like, would I have somebody else that was responsible for this and it was just going, like, is it that simple? Then, okay, how do I find that person? How do I pay for them? How do I train them to do it the first time? What kind of experience do they have? Like, you got to figure out, okay, what would easy look like? What would success look like? And then reverse engineer all of the pieces you need to make that happen. I mean, like, that is the answer, but you got to answer that, those initial questions yourself. But you pick that with one process. Like, you're not going to be able, like, you want to do this with every process. And I mean, that's the problem, is you probably, see you have 50 things you want to do this for. And you're like, okay, David, how do I do it for all these 50 things magically today? Well, that's not going to happen. It's not realistic. But you need to pick the highest leverage points, the ones that are giving you the most pain or the most time consuming, laser focus on that, and then ask yourself the question, what would this look like if it was easy? And then start filling in the pieces to make that happen. And once you do that a few times, then it's going to be like an aha moment for you. And you're just going to, every time you see problems, this is how you're going to approach and fix them. And this is what I spend my days doing. Like the problems just get bigger as you grow, or the opportunities, as I like to think about them, just get bigger as you grow. The systems just get bigger as you grow. But as you hit those kind of roadblocks, you then ask yourself, okay, well, this is really annoying, or this is sucking up a lot of time, or this is not working. Like, let me take a step back. Like, what would this system look like if it was a well-oiled machine and I didn't have to worry about it? And then, visualize that, and then start putting in the building blocks, whether that be people or process, to make that happen. That's really the only way. And if you're like, oh, I have no idea how to do it, then do me a favor, write down all your problems in like 3 paragraphs. I actually did this yesterday. Like, I was working through a problem that I wasn't sure, I was debating with myself how to answer it. I literally wrote 2 pages of like thought process around it, put it into 2 different AI tools, and went back and forth with each of them. So I was just wanting to make sure I wasn't getting biased information, and then ultimately came to like a similar conclusion, a similar answer. Then I had clarity for how I want to move forward, using that as my kind of my talking partner. And I've been unlocked. And like today, I've already got my team working on some next steps on this particular project that I was blocked with. That's what I would recommend. So, like, if you want a tangible thing that you can do before the end of the business today is pick your one process that you're not sure what to do about. Spec it out. Just go into like a Google Doc, write down everything you know about it, like what your problem points are, like where you're debating. Then publish that into AI and say, how do you think I should deal with this? Go back and forth with it, and then by the end of the day today, you have an action plan that then next week you can start attacking, and do not let up on that until you get that process ironed out. Then once you're happy with that, move to your second highest order process and do this for the rest of your life, and you'll have a incredibly successful business. It's that simple, but it takes consistency and commitment, and that's the way that you do it. Okay, Rival. The War of Art was a great recommendation for me. I'm a chronic procrastinator. What do you do to fix your procrastination? Honestly, for me, it sounds crass, but it's like, I like to think about my life in reverse, and it's, for me, it's about what are the things that I'm going to regret at the end of life, and for me, it's going to be the things that I didn't do, that I didn't try, that I didn't accomplish, and I think about this every single day. I mean, it's like I feel time. Our time on this planet is limited, like for all of us, and the last thing that I want is to be at the end of my life and say, only if I had procrastinated less, or if only I had tried harder, I could have lived a more interesting life, or I could have maybe done all these things that I dreamed about, but I just never got around to. I mean, that scares me. I mean, like that thought absolutely terrifies me. And so like if I'm procrastinating and I'm not getting very far, not getting anywhere, all I have to do is think about that. And that really puts me into it puts me into gear, because, I don't want to be at the end of my life thinking, oh, I left a lot on the table because I was scrolling Instagram all day and didn't want to, but just, never got around to it. Right. That's just, and that's what works for me. I mean, and like I put myself in that mindset for a long time, to the point that it's just normal for me. Like I'm always waking up and pushing, and dreaming big and going after big things. I mean, and also another thing that I do is, and I think this is maybe more tangible and helpful, and I do it kind of naturally now, but you set up accountability in your life. Like, I hate working out. Like, there is never one day, unfortunately, that I wake up at 5:45 when I wake up and say, you know what, I'm excited about going to the gym today. Never do I wake up feeling that. Like I keep waiting for the day that I'm actually excited to go to the gym, but it hasn't happened yet. But 6 days a week, I get up and at 6:30 I go to the gym. And like, how did I solve for that? Well, I hired a trainer that I work with 6 days a week, and I pay him whether or not I show up or not. And also I know he's going to show up every day. And I show up and I work out with him. I'm accountable to him 6 days a week. That is how I solved for it. I was coming down to the point of like, kind of figuring out what's next for me in my life. I built a fairly large business and I have lots of options at this point in my life. But I know I really want to do big things. I want to have a big impact. And so, I decided to go all in and on my mission of building the world's leading indoor air quality company. And then I go out and start a YouTube channel telling the world about that and committing myself to it, which forces me to wake up every day and take action against what I have committed to, right? That for me, that creates accountability and forces me to take the actions that I know deep down that I want to take. And so I'm a big believer in that process of actually forcing building in accountability into your life that forces the actions that your future self will thank you for and you want to take. So if you're really struggling with procrastination, then figure out ways to force that accountability to yourself. And that's what I did, like with the gym. It's very easy for me to put off, going to the gym, and I did that for many years. I mean, it's the kind of thing that I can always find like work or other things or family things that are more important in that moment than going to the gym, or that I can rationalize that to myself. But I forced that accountability, and then once you do that long enough, then it just becomes normal. It's like it just becomes. So I mean, I think that forced accountability is really one of the best ways to fight procrastination. And then the last thing I'll say, which I think is just as important in all of this, is you need to make sure that you're working on a project that excites you, that you really want, that's really consistent with what you want as a person and who you are as a human being. And that's why I think so many people that are just chasing money don't find any fulfillment, and oftentimes don't find any success in chasing money, because that's not something that really drives them. I mean, they're not actually sure what it is that they're actually chasing, and they haven't really defined it. Like this, you can't be chasing money. You're ultimately chasing some type of security or some type of a lifestyle or some type of a feeling. Like that's actually, there's lots of things that money represents, and like that's what you want to build a life around. You don't want to build it around money. And you need to figure out whatever kind of life is consistent with who you are as a person, and build your purpose in your business or your job around who you are as a person, and make sure those two things are consistent. Make sure that your dreams are really consistent with what you deep down desire, right? And I think a lot of times people chase dreams that, maybe they think they should because their parents tell them they should chase that dream, or because social media tells them to chase that dream, or society tells them to chase that dream, but it's not consistent with who they are as a person. And then they wonder why they always are procrastinating on doing it. And it's because it's not really what you want deep down. So like having the sooner you can have that awareness about like what it is you actually want out of life, and make sure that you're taking action that is consistent with what you actually deep down want, that's when you're going to find huge unlocks. So all of those things are kind of ways to think about it. And that's how I recommend you thinking about it. But ultimately, you got to figure out what's what works for you. But if you really have something that you really want out of life, you're going to find a way to get it. And I mean, I know that with myself. Like I see it all the time. Like I'll think I want something, and I'm like wondering, like, why am I not making any progress on it? And then like I'll kind of have the internal dialogue. I'll say, it's not really consistent with what I'm trying to do. And like intuitively, I think like somewhere I know that, so I just don't give it the attention. But like I will say like, oh, this is something I'm doing over here. I mean, like every project that I have failed at, it's because it's not really consistent with what I am trying to build. And it's like your subconscious oftentimes knows it well before your conscious self does. And that's why I think having that real like understanding of what you want out of life, what you're trying to accomplish, like what your dream world looks like, and doing things that are consistent with that. Like if you can kind of work in that direction, you're going to find that procrastinating and stuff like that is not nearly the problem that it is when you're working towards something that you don't really believe in. And that's just kind of life, and something that I would think about. But thanks for your question. Wish you the best of luck on it. It's not an easy nut to crack, but yeah, I promise you, if you find something you're passionate enough about, and you will find ways to build it, and you can build accountability around achieving that, you're going to procrastination is going to be something that's in your rear view mirror. Okay, Michael, what's next? Mel's. I am a software engineer making AI apps, and the market seems super competitive, not reliable. Should I leave software and start a boring business? This is not a yes or no question, so I'm not going to give you permission for yes or no. I think it kind of goes back to what I just said. Like you have to do what's something that's consistent with who you are as a person. And I think that like if you're just moving to a different market because you feel like it's less competitive, then I don't think that's going to I don't think that's going to be the answer to your problems, because like every business is competitive, and that's one of the things that kind of not annoys me, but I find interesting in the comments. Everybody wants to say, oh, well, this is saturated or it's over competitive. Well, you can say that really about any business that is worth doing. And that's just a fact. And people don't want to believe it. But like when I started air filters, air filters are a commodity product, super competitive, super saturated. You could have said that 15, 20 years ago. Well, I've gone out and find a unique way to do business within the air filter market. And I just believe you can do this in any market, including AI, or AI apps, as you call it, or as in software engineering, or in boring businesses. They both work. But you have to figure out what it is that you actually are expecting or want out of life. And if you just are looking for an easy business, well, I think that you're looking for a fairy tale that doesn't exist. There is no easy business. Certainly no easy small business. I think that you look at, and if you're in AI, you probably look at companies like Google or OpenAI, and they're growing so quickly, and you think, oh, that's an easy business. Well, you're just comparing yourself to like an unattainable thing. Like there's billions and billions and billions of dollars chasing it, and also like it's just at the right time of an intersection of changes of technologies. And like if you compare yourself to that, you're just setting yourself up to fail in terms of thinking about it. So like, I don't even view those as like, you can't even view those like in your frame of reference for like businesses as you're thinking about, what it is that you're going to go out and achieve. Um, you know, I think that there is tremendous, I don't think, I know that there is tremendous opportunity within making AI apps that are going to, that it's going to be just a huge, it's going to be a huge market over the coming decades. Like there's no doubt in my mind. I mean, in the same way, like you had Web 1.0, then Web 2.0, where all the apps came out, and like you're going to see the same thing with AI. But you have to be honest about like where your niche is, like what's your real competitive advantage is. Like if I was thinking about this problem from your perspective, you can take it for what it's worth. Rather than like you're asking should I leave AI and go into a boring business? Why not do both? Like why not use AI to enhance a boring business or enhance an industry? And I'll just give you an example. I'm not sure that this is a good one, but it's just one that I've observed. Like like I've owned a trucking business for a while and got out of it recently, and it was not a big success for me. But there's like one company, and I would even tell you the name, but I just blanked on it. It starts with an M. That is in the trucking software business that basically has a lot of that sells like real old legacy software to trucking companies, and they're huge. Like you see them. Whenever I'm driving on the highway, I see it says powered by this company on the back of a truck, and I'm shocked that this company still exists. Like I think they still I still am paying a legacy software license to them. Like they're very antiquated and old. At least that's my interpretation of them. And I just think about like if you were really a good AI software engineer, like you could find a great application within the trucking industry that would probably make it way more efficient, that you could be the low cost provider and provide a ton of value quickly to that specific industry. That would be a huge competitive advantage for you. Because like once they switch to your product, they're going to be locked in for a long period of time. And I bring this as an example because I think that there is going to be a tremendous amount of opportunity going to legacy, old, boring businesses and that are on like legacy stale software or even legacy stale like SaaS that's very expensive, that is not really customized to what they want, but it's just, it's because what everybody has used historically has just been like the best available, and then come in with your AI software that is tailored towards their specific use case, cheaper, and helps them to be way more efficient. I think there's going to be tremendous opportunity in the combination of those two things. And I think that given this question, that would be kind of my thought process. I don't know where you are in your career or where you are in your journey, but like I love the idea of like going in and like taking a job in one of these industries for like a year to like just understand how it works while like building an app for that type of industry, using that knowledge that you get while you're working in that industry. I think if I was in my 20s, that's what I would be doing. Like I would go and pick some like medical billing or some random thing that was kind of legacy but big business, and then say like, okay, is there a way for me to build a better way using AI that I could sell to companies like this? To me, like there are just tremendous opportunities in that, like undeniably. And if you're the person, like AI gets sold as this magic thing that's just going to solve all these problems, and that's just not how it will work. I mean, it's going to be people potentially like you that understand how to use these tools that go in and figure out how to actually implement them in real world, boring business applications. And that's where the real money is going to be made, in my opinion. And, given your skill set, that's what I would be focused on if I were you. And so I don't think this is a either or question. I think it's an and question. Like marrying those two things is where you're going to find the most value. And there are lots of ways that I just gave you an example of how that can manifest, but there are lots of ways that could manifest. I wouldn't give up on the AI, like if you are really good at that and you understand it, I think that's a huge competitive advantage for you as a person. So I wouldn't want to see you just completely dismiss that, but it's going to be the combination of those two things. I mean, that's what I did with air filters, right? It's like I took, like the manufacturing of a boring product, and they kind of used technology to build a different business model that was way more efficient. And it's the combination of those two where the value is. And I'd really like to see you figure out how to figure out the intersection of these two ideas, because I think that's where you're going to find the most success. And it's a journey. It's not something you're going to have the aha moment tomorrow that's going to just solve all your problems. But I think if you're willing to go on that journey, you're going to find that there's a tremendous amount of value to unlock with that. So I wish you the best on your journey. What's next, Michael? Michael, you there? Oh, there you go. Go ahead. Sorry. J Cubed. I'm a freelancer and I'm struggling to get clients. Do you have a strategy that could fix this? Well, that's not a ton of information to go on. I mean, if you're, it depends on it depends on how good you are at what you're doing. I mean, I think that one question we got to be honest with yourself a little bit about is, in my experience, the best freelancers generally are going to stay busy through referrals and repeat work, if nothing else. I mean, at least that's my experience. It's like when I find people that are really good, I keep hiring them, and like they're always the busy ones, because it's the people that maybe aren't as good that struggle the most. But I mean, obviously, you got to get some traction first. But I mean, that's that would be just one question I would ask myself. But like let's say you are good at what you do, you deliver on your promises, you can offer value, real value in whatever it is that you're offering. Then the classic strategy, and I fall in trap of this all the time, but you go on platforms like Upwork, you underprice yourself for a while because you need clients, and you need to build reviews and this kind of stuff. And so you over deliver for a while at a lower price. And then as you get more clients and you get busier, then you raise your pricing that's more to a place that's more consistent with your value. And you may grandfather in some of your earlier clients, or if you're really good, they're going to understand. And I've had this happen to me. They say, hey, we've been working together for a few months, gotten really busy now. I really enjoy working with you, but I've got to raise my rates because I underpriced you in the beginning. And then if you're good, they're going to say, yeah, we understand. We're going to keep working with you. But that would be my strategy, is to go on a platform like an Upwork and underprice myself for a while, over deliver, and then that's going to fix your problem very quickly. If you're good at what you do. And it also gives you the chance to really practice and hone your skills, learn what other people are looking for, maybe kind of change your sales pitch a little bit as you learn what people actually want or what you're actually good at doing. But it's going to start with, being willing to, take less in the beginning first. And that would be, Upwork is the biggest platform I know for doing this. And I still, to this day, like, I hire on Upwork all the time. It's like one of my favorite things to do. Like if I have like an experiment or like something that we don't have anybody internally that has the bandwidth to do, but like I want to do it quickly, I will go on Upwork. And I've done this for years, and I will find somebody. And I have lots of contractors that I still pay to this day to do the random things that I have found through Upwork. And that's where I go, and I would imagine I'm not the only one. There are other platforms you can do it. I mean, and I don't know what skills you offer, but my guess is if you're saying freelancer, it'd be digital. So Upwork would be my favorite. I mean, Fiverr is another place you can do it, but I think Upwork would be better for this. So that would be my best advice. So if you come back later with more details, maybe I can give you more targeted advice. But that's how I'd be thinking about your problem. Go on Upwork, good profile, underprice yourself relative to your value for a while. Over deliver, and you'll have more business than you know what to do. You'll raise your prices and hopefully live happily ever after. Okay, Michael, what's next? Joseph Cruz. I own a small engine repair shop. What's the most successful marketing strategy for reaching out to both commercial and residential customers? Commercial and residential are probably different. Just so I think it's not necessarily I know within Filter Buy we have a very different residential strategy than we do commercial strategy. And so for residential, ultimately it's going to come down to, the same stuff, right? It's going to be Google My Business, Google My Business ads. I think those are still bang for your buck, especially if you have, if you don't have Google My Business set up, obviously you got to set it up. But then once you set it up, start getting some good reviews. Make sure you focus on getting good reviews, and then adding, and then running ads against those where you are bidding for leads more or less. That's going to be the highest ROI for a small engine shop. People searching for it. And so if you're not doing that, that's where you got to start. You can do the same thing with Yelp and Angie's List. Then there are platforms like eLocal. If you've never played with it, eLocal is another place that's kind of like Google My Business, where you can pay for leads, and that's something that I would recommend. I know within our HVAC business that we utilize that some. So those are all the lowest hanging fruit, and if you don't know how to do it, then see my previous answer. Go on Upwork, find somebody that maybe our previous freelancer, if he's in the advertising space, you're going to hire him because he's going to offer it to you for cheap for a while to help you get set up. And I've used that strategy many times. And then the other area that slightly more sophisticated, but if you're tapped out on that, then you got to go to Facebook, right? And figure out how to do some Facebook ads targeted to your local area, letting people know that you exist. My guess is this is a little bit harder for your market because you probably people are, when they have a small engine repair need, it's something that they need now. It's not something that they can, think about. And so it's not something that you're really probably going to target and retarget people on Facebook for, but it's something you can experiment with. But I don't know exactly your needs with it. Commercial would be a different story. And I'm guessing here you're talking construction companies or maybe school systems with school buses. I don't know exactly what your commercial needs would be there. But honestly, if you're in a local market, I would consider having a salesperson, maybe that was commission heavy, building relationships with those types of businesses, because I think that's probably pretty relationship driven. My guess is if you own a cement truck or something like that, you're probably not Googling this. You're probably doing it off relationships. And so unfortunately, I think this is probably a salesperson's game. And so if you're really serious about it in your local community, I'd probably have a salesperson. You could experiment with direct mail. Believe it or not, I do think direct mail for something like this can work. So people know that you exist, and it's not that expensive to do in a targeted market. There are definitely, platforms that allow you to do this. And so sending, a direct mail piece every month to a targeted set of businesses in your area, might work. I don't know. It's certainly something I would experiment with if I were in your situation. But from actually getting business, if you actually want to move the needle, my guess is having a salesperson going out and talking to local construction companies or anybody that has fleets of vehicles, which I'm guessing is your market. I think about our HVAC business. I know we have multiple vehicles and that they oftentimes probably have problems and somebody has to fix them. If you could go and develop a relationship with manager of that location, then you have a chance of getting that business. And I think having if you're really small, you have to do some of that yourself. And that's what I would do. You got to go out and do that, cold calling, which is actually a lot easier in businesses, because businesses are, generally somebody's there, they're willing to talk to you, and then you may hit them on the right day. It's like, hey, yeah, we had this problem. This person ripped us off, or they couldn't get us in anytime soon. I think that, that's really, my guess is that your response rate is going to significantly impact the business that you have. Meaning, like, if people need something, if you can be super responsive, have somebody there, or prioritize them, that's really what's going to be your differentiator to win your business. And I think that focusing in on that, maybe having a salesperson helping to expedite that, would probably be my best bet for something like this. But so that would be, like, your answer is within that. Like, unfortunately, I don't think that I'm sure you could find other kind of maybe guerrilla marketing type tactics, but there's really, like, there's no magic bullet for you. It's going to be executing on what I just outlined well. And like, if you're doing none of it, pick one of them. My guess is that Google My Business, go, like, hone in on that until you maximize your leads from it, until you spin out from it. But if you've already maximized some of those, then you just got to pick one of these other things that I talked about and hone in on that and make it work. But it's kind of, that's really your model. And so I would stick within that and not go too far off the reservation. Just pick one of those, and then just keep picking another one until you maximize it. So that's how I'd be thinking about that problem. But wish you the best of luck in your business. So you've done the hard part. You've gotten started. So now you just got to figure out how to scale. Okay, Michael, we'll do one more. Stelios, what's the best way to change careers? And besides doing what you love, what's the most lucrative endeavor? What's the most lucrative endeavor? I don't know. It used to be drug dealing. It could be that. I don't know. If lucrative is if that is your only thing you're looking for. I don't know. I don't really love this question, Stelios. I got to be honest with you. I mean, there is no one most lucrative endeavor. It's the one that the thing that's going to be most lucrative is the thing that you can stay most consistent with over a long period of time and truly master. That's what's going to be the most lucrative for you. And that's why the besides doing what you love piece is like, I don't think that do what you love is great advice. I mean, like, I think that that's misguided, but also, like, you have to do something that's consistent with who you are, something that you really believe in, that you're going to stay committed to over a long period of time. What most people fail, the reason most people fail is that they start something that they only halfway believe in, that they don't really enjoy. And then when it gets hard, a year and a half in, they give up and they think, oh, I tried it for a year and a half and I failed. Like, that was a terrible idea. And the reality is that it's not that the idea may not have even been terrible. It was just they weren't consistent with it for a long enough period of time, and they didn't really believe in it, so they didn't stay committed to it. And so, like, you really have to figure out the thing that you're actually going to stay committed to for a long period of time, to give it the chance of actually working and actually succeeding, or that you're going to, like, stick with and iterate long enough to actually get that success for it to actually to work, and not just give up on it. And just the way that you ask this question, I can tell that this is the exact trap you're falling into. Like, you're just not really excited about anything. You just want to make money, and so you're like, oh, okay. Like, what's the easiest way for me to go make a lot of money? And if that's the attitude that you're going to have, I hate to tell you, you're never going to find it. You're never going to be successful with that attitude. So I think you kind of have to shift the attitude a little bit. The attitude has got to be like, what is it that I, Stelios, really believe in and want to commit the next decade to working on, because I believe it's a good business idea. It's something I can get excited about every day working towards. And I believe that I'm going to be rewarded for it at the end, because it's a good idea and I believe in it. Like that is the thing, that is the idea that is going to get you where you want to go. And it's not going to be my idea. It's not going to be the thing that I tell you on this video today that's going to give you that clarity, that's going to be your path to success. It's going to be something that you believe in because you see it and you understand it and you're committed to it with every bone in your body for whatever reason. That's going to be the thing that's going to where you're going to find your success, and it's going to be the most lucrative endeavor for you, which is all that matters. You got to figure out what's going to be the most lucrative endeavor for you. And once you figure that out, then that's where you go all in on. And unfortunately, that's an answer that only you can answer. But hopefully my content is designed to give you the ideas for how to start. And then you got to go out and get started and then keep building and keep building and keep building and iterating. That's where I'm here to support. And, there's lots of other people that can help you on that journey, but you've got to be committed to it yourself. And I think that's where it all starts. And so I would do some self-exploration before you even change careers. Don't change careers yet if this is where your mindset is. Sounds like you're maybe unhappy in a career and you want to go out and make some money, which is great. But you got to make sure that when you sign up for that you're really committed to it. And it's not something that you're doing just for the money or just because you're unhappy where you are. That's just because you're unhappy where you are. It's not enough to just go out and change. You want to have an actual plan for how you're going to achieve whatever it is that you're seeking out to achieve. And so I want you to get some clarity on that before you take the leap. So that is how I would think about it. Okay, well, with that, I really appreciate you all showing up. I would appreciate it if you would hit the like button because that's I love the positive affirmation. But please do go out and watch our video for this week on the businesses you can start today as a single person with less than $300. So we had a lot of questions about that today. So go out and watch that video. Leave us some comments. And then come back and you can ask us next week about functional questions because you got started this week and now you have some actual functional questions you want to ask. You can come bring those next week and we'll go over it. I really appreciate you showing up and I wish you the best week ahead. But please go out and actually get started and do something. Don't just think about it. Don't just talk about it. Don't just scroll on Instagram and watch more of my short form videos, and get excited about it. Go out and do it. Go out and just do something, get started. Then the next week, just do a little bit more and just let that build. That is the path to success. And I have to remind myself that all the time. Like I always want things to happen quicker. I always want to, get where I'm going faster. I mean, we all want that. That's human nature. But the answer is to put one foot in front of the other and keep moving and, keep growing, keep expanding. And, but that all hinges on the fact that you started in the first place. And that's where so many people fail, in my opinion. So with that, thank you so much for showing up. I really appreciate it. Hope you have a great week and I will see you next week.